By the time the Galactic Council survey vessel Iller entered the Sol system, the warning beacon around Earth had already been blinking for 312 standard years. Deathworld classification, Omega. Surface entry, forbidden. Native biosphere, extreme aggression. Recommendation, do not enter. Captain Vale of the Keth stared at the ancient marker on the bridge display and clicked his mandibles in amusement. Primitive fear signaling, he said. Probably placed by some long-dead exploration guild that encountered storms and oversized fauna. Around him, the bridge crew murmured in agreement. Earth's file was thin, fragmented, and oddly incomplete. Most of the Council's records on the world were missing, sealed, or corrupted. That alone made the planet suspicious. Council bureaucracy documented everything. For a world to have gaps that large meant either incompetence or deliberate silence. Vale preferred the first explanation. Begin orbital scan, he ordered. The display filled with impossible readings. Oxygen-rich atmosphere. Massive liquid oceans. Violent weather patterns. Tectonic instability. Countless predatory life forms. Microbial density high enough to sicken most known species within minutes. Temperature swings that would kill lesser organisms. Land predators with claws, venom, speed, camouflage, or brute strength. Sea creatures big enough to swallow transports. Flying beasts that hunted with precision eyesight. Invisible parasites. Poisonous plants. And then there were the natives. Bipedal. Soft-skinned. No natural armor. No venom sacs. No claws worth mentioning. Blunt teeth. Frail-looking skeletons for their size. Captain Vale laughed. These are the apex natives? Science Officer Tyron hesitated. According to biosignature dominance maps, yes. They evolved here? Vale asked. Yes, Captain. Vale leaned back in his command cradle. Then either our scans are wrong, or the universe has a sense of humor. The bridge gave a pulse of polite laughter. Far below, Earth turned in slow blue silence. Continents glimmered under white cloud bands. Nightside cities shone like constellations scattered across the dark. Radio chatter flooded the scanners. Thousands upon thousands of signals in layers of noise, language, music, arguments, trade, navigation, weather, stories, military encryption, jokes, and advertisements. Too much activity for a death world. Civilizations on harsh planets were usually buried deep underground, sparse, cautious, built around survival. Earth looked alive. Recklessly alive. Transmit standard first contact demand, Vale said. Notify the local authority that this system now falls under council review. A communications officer complied. The message was cold, formal, and intentionally superior. It identified the Iller as an official council vessel, ordered all orbital defense networks to power down, and requested immediate planetary representation. Then they waited. For 11 seconds. An answer came, not from a government station, not from a military installation, but from a small civilian signal relay near the moon. The voice was calm, human, and unmistakably amused. Unknown council vessel, this is Earth Orbital Traffic Control. You're parked in a quarantine lane that's been marked unsafe since before your records started glitching. Recommend you back off 300,000 kilometers and read the warning this time. Captain Vale's eyes narrowed. This is Captain Vale of the Galactic Council vessel Iller. You will direct us to your planetary leadership. The pause. Sure. Which one? Snickers ran across the bridge. Vale's tone sharpened. Do not test my patience, primitive. Oh, the human voice said, you're one of those. Before Vale could respond, new signals flooded in. Dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Defense grids. Civilian satellites. Mining rigs. Freight tugs. Lunar stations. Deep space telescopes. Something hidden in Earth's Lagrange points woke up and locked targeting systems onto the Iller. Tyron's crest flattened in alarm. Captain, the entire orbital sphere just armed itself. That's impossible. There wasn't a standing fleet signature. There wasn't, Tyron whispered. These are not fleet signatures. These are everything. On the main screen, the moon's shadow shifted, and Vale realized it was not the shadow moving. A structure rose from the dark side of Luna like a mountain pulling itself free of stone. Its surface was old, scarred, and unmistakably military. Ancient human design wrapped around modern weapon arrays. Mass drivers. Lance emitters. Missile silos hidden beneath regolith doors. Another station emerged from behind an asteroid tow yard. Then another from orbital debris that had not been debris at all. Earth had turned its infrastructure into a fortress. The calm human voice returned. Captain Vale, quick history note. The last time somebody ignored that beacon, they thought Earth was just a dangerous little backwater with useful resources. They landed troops. Stole samples. Tried to burn a few cities to make a point. Vale straightened. There is no record of such an incident. Yeah, the human said. There wouldn't be. The bridge fell silent. What happened? Tyron asked before Vale could stop him. For the first time, the human voice lost its humor. We left survivors. A cold feeling rare and unwelcome crawled through Captain Vale's spine. State your name, he demanded. Director Elena Ward. United Earth Orbital Defense. Temporary speaker for the species currently telling you not to make a very old mistake. Vale rose to his full height. Earth is unrecognized by the Council. You maintain unauthorized weapons platforms in violation of interstellar charter. By order of the Galactic Council, you will stand down and submit to inspection. The answer came instantly. No. Just that. No fear. No negotiation. No hesitation. Vale signaled weapons readiness. Director Ward, you misunderstand your position. And you misunderstand Earth, Ward replied. We're not trapped on a death world, Captain. We were shaped by one. Everything out there that terrifies the galaxy, predators, storms, pressure, poison, darkness, gravity, disease, we grew up with it. We buried our dead in it. We built homes in it. We crossed oceans on it. We flew through hurricanes, tunneled into mountains, split atoms, and climbed out of our own atmosphere because staying still here meant dying. New contacts appeared on the sensors, human ships, fast and ugly, launching from low orbit, from the moon, from places the Council scanners had missed completely. None of them looked elegant. All of them looked dangerous. Ward continued, that beacon isn't there to protect us from visitors. It's there to protect visitors from us. On the bridge, no one laughed now. Vale studied the growing human formation and, for the first time since entering the system, wondered whether the warning had not been primitive fear after all. Maybe it had been mercy. And below them, Earth kept turning beautiful, violent, patient, like something alive. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was convened within the hour. Across a chamber vast enough to hold warships, holographic representatives flickered into life. The silver forms of the Serene of Ilia, the armored bulk of the Grath Dominion, the translucent neural webs of the SH Combine, and dozens more. At the center, suspended in cold light, rotated the image of Earth. Blue, white, green. Deceptively harmless. Captain Vale stood beneath it and delivered his report to a storm of disbelief. You withdrew, barked Counselor Dresk of the Grath, slamming one-plated fist against his dais. From a pre-FTL Deathworld species? They are not pre-FTL, Vale replied tightly. They possess hidden orbital defenses, fleet-level combat capacity, and extensive hardening of civilian infrastructure. Impossible, hissed a SYH delegate. No recognized member species reported human accession. That is because no recognized member species invited one, said Archivist Sen, a frail elder from the Council's historical order. A hush passed through the chamber. Sen was ancient, even by Council standards, and old enough to remember wars most delegates only studied. With a gesture, he pulled a redacted seal into the air, old, cracked, and bearing the Council's own sigil. File designation, Soul Containment Protocol, Sen said quietly. Counselor Dresk frowned. I have never seen that record. Few have, Sen answered. It was sealed after the first soul contact disaster. Murmurs spread instantly. Captain Vale turned. There really was a prior incident. Sen's expression was grim. Yes. 4 fleets entered the system under Council Charter. 2 intended scientific exploitation. 1 sought colonial claims. 1 believed the native species could be pacified and used as labor. And someone demanded. Sin enlarged the old file. Casualty columns filled the chamber. Ships lost. Fleets shattered. Boarding crews vanished. Strategic AIs corrupted by human cyber warfare. Atmospheric assault units annihilated by weather they had not prepared for. Ground battalions hunted through forests, deserts, ice fields, and city ruins by an enemy that used terrain like an extension of its own body. The campaign lasted 9 days, Sin said. On the 10th, the survivors fled. Humanity did not pursue beyond system boundaries. Instead, they transmitted one message to the Council. The old recording crackled to life. A human voice, tired and furious. Stay out. Silence gripped the chamber. Councillor Dresk recovered first. Then they are a threat. We should have exterminated them then. Archivist Sin turned slowly toward him. 4 fleets tried. Another delegate leaned forward. If they defeated 4 fleets centuries ago, why have they not expanded? Why remain hidden? Director Elena Ward's image appeared uninvited at the edge of the chamber feed. Somehow the humans had piggybacked onto a secure council transmission. Several guards shouted in alarm. Ward only folded her hands behind her back. Because, she said, we were busy surviving, rebuilding, and deciding whether the galaxy was worth meeting. Outrage exploded. How did she get in here? Security. Disconnect that signal. The SYTH technicians scrambled. Nothing happened. Ward gave them a thin smile. You should really stop treating malware like an exotic concept. We grew up on a planet where the microbes want you dead. We got very good at adaptation. Councillor Dresk snarled. You invade council channels and speak as if you are our equal? Ward met his glare. No. I'm speaking as the representative of the species you labeled unfit, primitive, and disposable. Equality would be a downgrade from where we're standing right now. That set half the chamber shouting again. But Chairwoman Taylor of the Central Council finally raised a hand. Her species rarely displayed emotion, yet even she seemed unsettled. Director Ward, she said, why was humanity never brought into contact again after the first incident? Ward looked at Archivist Senior. Tell them. Sin bowed his head. Because the Council feared what Earth produces. He enlarged the record further. Humans are persistence predators on a death world. They endure pain beyond expected limits. They improvise under catastrophic stress. They weaponize civilian industry in weeks. Their social fragmentation makes them appear weak, but under external threat they coordinate with terrifying speed. They are not the strongest species individually, nor the fastest, nor the most durable. But no known species matches their strategic flexibility. He paused. And worst of all, they learn. The chamber dimmed as the record displayed comparative projections. In every long-term war simulation, human resistance increased instead of collapsing. Defeat made them more dangerous. Occupation created insurgencies. Bombardment accelerated innovation. Isolation made them self-sufficient. Trade made them indispensable. Alliance made them loyal. Betrayal made them merciless. Councillor Dresk scoffed loudly. Then we strike before they are ready. Full fleet mobilization. Burn their orbital assets, glass their military zones, and quarantine the remains. Ward laughed. Not politely. Not nervously. It was the laugh of someone hearing a child threaten a volcano. Counselor, she said, your people break under 30% gravity variance. Your soldiers need sealed rations because half your gut biomes collapse outside controlled environments. Your battle doctrine depends on predictive formation patterns our teenagers can spoof from a basement. You think numbers scare us? We count numbers for weather reports. Dresk bared his teeth. We will drown Earth in fire. Ward's face hardened. Try it. For a second, the chamber seemed colder. Then Ward spoke again, slower now. We did not come asking for a seat on your council. We did not cross the stars looking for tribute. We stayed in our corner. We built quietly. We watched. And we left you a warning so obvious even your youngest navigator should have understood it. She stepped closer to the camera. If you come in peace, we'll talk. If you come to threaten, conquer, inspect, classify, or chain us, her eyes narrowed. Then welcome to the Deathworld. We call it home. The signal cut. No one moved for several seconds. Then Chairwoman Taylor said the words that changed the chamber. Delay all strike motions. Dresk spun toward her. You would hesitate? Taylor watched the image of Earth rotate in the dark. Yes, she said. Because for the first time in centuries, I believe the warning file was not exaggerated. Archivistson looked up at the blue world and whispered what many in the chamber were suddenly thinking. Perhaps the Council did not mark Earth, do not enter, because humans could not survive the planet. His voice dropped lower. Perhaps it was because no one else could survive the humans. Despite Chairwoman Taylor's hesitation, the Council did what arrogant powers always did when faced with something they did not control. It sent inspectors. Officially, the mission was diplomatic. Unofficially, it was a test. A small delegation would land on Earth under truce, assess the human threat, examine planetary defenses, and determine whether humanity was truly worthy of fear or merely skilled at bluffing. Counselor Dresk personally selected the team. Captain Vale, to redeem his reputation. Science Officer Tyron, for environmental study. 3 elite Grath soldiers, in case the humans tried anything. And 1 archivist from Sen's order, to compare old records with reality. Their shuttle pierced Earth's atmosphere under escort, trembling as fire wrapped its hull. Tyron gripped her harness. The thermal stress is insane. The human pilot on the comm chuckled. This is a mild entry. As clouds tore past the viewport, the delegation saw oceans like endless metal, mountain chains like broken teeth, forests so vast they looked like green continents within continents. Lightning storms flashed in towers taller than cities. Cyclones spun over distant water with serene, monstrous scale. The Grath soldiers shifted uneasily. Then the shuttle hit turbulence. Violently. Warning tones erupted. 1 soldier cursed as his restraints snapped half loose. Tyron's secondary stomach clenched. What is happening? Vale snapped. Weather, the human pilot replied. This is an attack? No, the pilot said. This is Tuesday. They landed at last on a plateau surrounded by jagged peaks. The human facility there was low, broad, and partly buried in stone. Defensive guns tracked the horizon. Rotorcraft screamed overhead. Armored vehicles moved between hangars. In the distance, snow glittered on mountains sharp enough to wound the sky. A woman in a dark coat waited on the landing strip. Director Elena Ward. No armor. No visible weapon. The Grath soldiers still raised theirs. Ward glanced at them. You won't need those. Dresk's lead soldier snarled. That is for us to decide. Ward looked past him toward the mountains. No, I mean the rifles won't help if anything local decides you smell interesting. The soldier's grip tightened. Tyron believed her instantly. Even standing on the pad, she could smell the world through her suit filters, soil, cold air, fuel, pine resin, ozone, distant water, life. Too much life. Her instruments were overflowing with biotic noise. How do you live on this planet? She muttered. Ward heard her. With practice. The inspection began. The humans showed them hardened shelters built against storms. Medical labs designed around pathogens from 100 ecosystems. Agricultural domes that could survive blizzards, drought, and insect swarms. Civil defense drills so normalized that schoolchildren participated without fear. Emergency rations in every corridor. Backup power for the backup power. Redundant communications nested under deeper redundancies. Captain Vale frowned more with every room. This is military architecture. Ward shook her head. No. This is civilian architecture. That answer disturbed him more than anything else. Then came lunch. The council delegation sat at a long metal table while humans ate casually around them. The Grath soldiers refused local food. Vale did the same. Tyron, curious despite herself, scanned a small piece of fruit before tasting it. It was sweet. Alarmingly so. How is this not toxic? She asked. A nearby human scientist shrugged. To something it probably is. Before she could reply, the entire facility shuddered. Sirens howled. Every human in the room moved instantly. No confusion. No panic. Every tray dropped, every station abandoned, everyone already in motion. Ward was on her feet at once. Perimeter breach. Mountainside. The Grath soldiers surged up, finally pleased to have a clear threat. At last, one growled. Something simple. Ward gave him a pitying look. Outside, the wind had risen to a knife-edged scream. Snow tore sideways. Automated turrets pivoted toward the ridgeline. The delegation followed Ward to an observation bunker overlooking the valley. At first Vale saw nothing. Then the snow moved. No, something inside it moved. A shape the size of a transport burst from the white veil, all muscle and fur and teeth, descending the slope with impossible speed. Then another. Then 6 more. Tyron stared at her scanner in disbelief. These are native megafauna? Winter pack, said Ward. Migrating early. One of the Grath soldiers laughed. Beasts. Finally. He strode out before anyone could stop him and opened fire. The creature he hit did not fall. It got angry. The beast crossed the distance in seconds, slamming into the soldier hard enough to crumple his armor like ceremonial foil. The bunker shook. The other Grath opened up wildly. Human turrets joined them. Snow exploded. One beast fell. 2 more leaped the defensive trench. And the humans moved like this was familiar. Not routine. Not safe. But familiar. Teams split by role without orders. Tranquilizer cannons. Heavy rifles. Dronettes. Emergency medics. Kill zones. Retreat routes. Civilians evacuating in discipline lines. A loader mech rammed one beast off a fuel line while a woman in an orange emergency vest kept giving calm directions over loudspeaker. Vale could barely process it. This happens often? Ward didn't look away from the battle. Often enough. The wounded Grath soldier screamed as medics dragged him back inside. His armor was shredded. His blood hissed on the floor. He stared at Ward with raw terror. This world is insane. Ward finally looked at him. Yeah, she said. That's why your council put up the sign. Another impact rattled the bunker. Tyron watched a human mechanic climb onto a turret housing during active fire to clear an ice jam by hand. No training sim predicted this, she whispered. The archivist beside her answered shakily, that is because no sane species would build civilization where the wildlife can breach military fences. Ward heard him too. We didn't build civilization despite this, she said. On the ridge, the last beast fell beneath a missile strike. Smoke drifted across the snow. Humans were already recovering bodies, patching walls, checking generators, resetting sensors, treating wounded, logging incident data. No one celebrated. No one collapsed. They just kept working. Ward turned to the delegation. And now, she said, imagine invading us here. Captain Vale had no answer. For the first time, standing under Earth's hard sky, with its freezing wind clawing even through shuttle-grade insulation, he understood the oldest truth in the sealed records. Earth did not make humans weaker. It had spent millennia removing anything that could not endure. Counselor Dresk ignored the inspection report. He ignored Captain Vale's warning. Ignored Tyron's environmental analysis. Ignored the archivist's trembling recommendation for permanent non-aggression. Ignored even Chairwoman Taylor's order for restraint. Pride is a strange disease. In some species it looks like rage. In others, certainty. In Dresk, it looked like a fleet. Without council authorization, he gathered loyal warships at the edge of Sol and announced an enforcement action. His broadcast thundered across interstellar channels. Earth is hereby declared a rogue Deathworld civilization. Its defenses are unlawful. Its conduct is hostile. By authority of the Council's founding species, the Grath Dominion will neutralize the human threat. By the time the official council could condemn him, the fleet had already crossed the outer system. Humanity answered with a single transmission. You were warned. Then the lights went out. Not on Earth. On the Grath fleet, navigation arrays failed first. Then formation relays. Then targeting links. Human malware, seeded through stolen handshake protocols during the earlier diplomatic exchange, bloomed like a virus across their systems. Ships began drifting out of perfect attack alignment. Dresk roared for manual control. That was when the mines activated. They had been hidden in the dark beyond Mars, disguised as dead rock, debris, ancient probes, ice fragments, and forgotten salvage. Thousands of them. Maybe tens of thousands. Not enough to destroy the fleet outright. Enough to break its rhythm. Explosions flashed across the void. Hulls split. Escorts spun helplessly. Panic rippled through command channels as the neat Grath spearhead became a snarled, stumbling mass. And that was before the humans attacked. They did not charge in gleaming formation. They did not announce battle lines or seek honorable engagement. They came from everywhere. Missile barges disguised as cargo haulers. Retrofit mining ships launching mass drivers. Lunar defense platforms firing through pre-calculated kill corridors. Drone swarms emerging from hollow asteroids. Fast strike craft darting through wreckage where larger Grath ships could not track them. Human voices filled the comms in 1,000 accents, calm and terrifying. Package away. Railguns hot. Decoy pattern 7. Somebody tell Orbital we found the idiots. On Earth, children in schools were guided underground. Civilians moved through storm shelters. Hospitals switched to war protocol. Factories that made tractors yesterday began making armor plates today. Civilian shipyards unfolded sealed military lines. Entire cities shifted into defensive synchronization with practiced speed. Because Earth had not merely prepared for war. It had prepared for disaster. And to humans, war was just another kind of disaster with a face. Captain Vale, aboard a neutral observer craft under Ward's escort, watched the battle in numb disbelief. This isn't a fleet action, he said. Ward stood beside him, arms folded behind her back. No, she said. This is pest control. On screen, one Grath cruiser managed to break through and aimed its main spinal cannon toward Earth. Before it could fire, something rose from the planet's night side. Not a ship. A station. No. An old shipyard frame wrapped around a cannon so enormous Vale first mistook it for architecture. Ward smiled faintly at his expression. We built that out of 3 decommissioned launch rings, a lunar or spine, and a very long grudge. The cannon fired. Space flashed white. The Grath cruiser simply ceased to be. Across the system, Dresk screamed orders no longer relevant. His commanders begged for coherence. The human attacks did not stop. Every time the Grath reformed, new threats struck from angles no doctrine had prepared for. Fuel depots vanished. Sensor ghosts filled radar. Boarding pods latched onto crippled ships and vented compartments with savage efficiency. And still Earth itself waited. Vale realized then with mounting horror that humanity was not even using everything. Ward confirmed it. You know what frightens your council the most? She asked softly. It isn't that we survive on a Deathworld. It's that we learn to think like one. She gestured to the burning field of ships. Predators stalk. Parasites infiltrate. Herds stampede. Storms overwhelm. Disease spreads through weak systems. Earth taught us all of it. The Grath fleet broke. Some ships fled outward. Some surrendered. Some died trying to ram human defenses in despair. Counselor Dresk's flagship made one final charge toward Earth, engines overdriven, guns blazing. A small human corvette intercepted it. Small was the wrong word, Vale realized. Compared to the flagship, yes. Compared to courage, no. The corvette hammered Dresk's bridge shields at point-blank range while broadcasting on all frequencies. This is for ignoring the sign. Then it detonated its forward magazine. Dresk's flagship split open like rotten fruit. Silence spread across the battlefield. Bits of metal, fire, and ambition drifted in the dark. Vale closed his eyes. It's over, he whispered. Ward looked at the wreckage, not triumphant, only tired. It was over the moment he decided Earth was something you could bully. Behind them, the blue planet turned in patient calm. Clouds moved. Oceans gleamed. Storm fronts rolled over continents that had seen 1,000 invasions, extinctions, empires, and recoveries. Humanity had not begged the galaxy to understand. It had simply survived long enough to become impossible to ignore. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council reconvened. The chamber was quieter now. No grand speeches. No laughter at primitive Deathworlders. No casual arrogance. Too many empty seats. Too many delegates staring at casualty ledgers that should never have existed. Chairwoman Taylor called the session to order, and for the first time in council history, the central dais lowered itself to equal height with a foreign delegation entering the chamber. Humanity had arrived. Not in armor. Not draped in conquest banners. Not flanked by trophies. Director Elena Ward walked in wearing a simple dark uniform marked only by Earth's insignia, a blue world surrounded by a thin ring of stars. Beside her came scientists, diplomats, military officers, medics, engineers, and one farmer from a drought colony on Mars. That unsettled the council most of all. They had expected warriors. Humans had brought builders. Chairwoman Taylor rose. Director Ward. On behalf of the council, I extend formal recognition of the United Human Systems and acknowledge Earth as sovereign. Ward inclined her head once. Accepted. No flourish. No gloating. Counselors' seats buzzed in uneasy whispers. Archivists stepped forward carrying the ancient containment file. There is one more matter, he said. The old warning beacon around Sol. Its language is outdated and incomplete. The council requests a revised designation. Taylor looked to Ward. Will humanity provide the wording? Ward considered for a moment. Then she nodded. A display opened over the chamber. The old warning text appeared first. Deathworld classification, Omega. Surface entry, forbidden. Recommendation, do not enter. Ward studied it, then spoke. Keep the first part. A ripple of confusion moved through the hall. You still classify Earth as a death world? Asked one delegate. Ward gave a faint smile. Of course. Have you seen Australia? A few delegates didn't understand the joke. A few humans did, and that was enough. Then Ward's expression grew serious. But the rest changes. She entered new text. Deathworld classification, Omega. Native species, human. Entry status, peace welcomed. Hostility will be returned in full. The chamber stared at the words. Simple. Final. Archivists nodded slowly. Accurate. SYH delegate leaned forward. Is that a threat? Ward turned to face the assembly. No, she said. It's a promise. There's a difference. She walked to the center of the chamber and let her gaze move across every species present. You looked at our world and saw storms, predators, poison, gravity, and chaos. You asked how anything intelligent could come from such a place. Here is your answer, because only something stubborn enough to endure all that would ever reach the stars from Earth. She pointed to the hologram of her planet. This world tried to kill us every day. So we learned medicine, engineering, agriculture, cooperation, endurance. We learned to run toward danger when we had to. We learned to bury our dead and keep building. We learned that comfort is temporary, survival is earned, and home is worth defending. No one interrupted. Even the proudest species in the room listen now. We are not asking the galaxy to fear us, Ward continued. We are asking it to understand us. Come to us with trade, curiosity, respect, and honesty, and you will find allies who cross impossible distances for their friends. Come to us with chains and fire. She let the sentence hang. No one needed the ending. The Martian farmer beside her stepped forward unexpectedly. He was older, broad-shouldered, hands rough with real labor rather than ceremonial polish. Back home, he said, voice steady, we have a saying. Ward glanced at him, amused. Which one? He looked up at the chamber full of elites, admirals, and ancient powers. Don't poke things that survived worse than you. For the first time in that terrible session, laughter broke the tension. Real laughter. Careful, uneasy, but real. Chairwoman Taylor let it settle. Then she did something no chair had ever done. She bowed her head to the human delegation. "The Council accepts the revised warning," she said, "and seeks peace." Ward bowed in return. "Then peace is what you'll get." The vote that followed passed with overwhelming approval. Sol's quarantine status was lifted and replaced with protected sovereignty. Human trade routes were recognized. Diplomatic channels opened. Joint scientific projects were proposed within hours. Some species remained frightened, some resentful, some fascinated, but none would ever again mistake Earth for weak. As the session ended, Captain Vale stood alone beneath the projection of the blue planet. Director Ward paused beside him. "You could have destroyed more of us," he said quietly. Ward looked at Earth turning above them. "Yes. Why didn't you?" She took a long breath before answering. "Because surviving a death world teaches you something your council forgot." Vale waited. Ward's eyes never left the planet. "That strength isn't proved by how easily you crush something weaker." She glanced at him. "It's proved by how much you can protect without becoming the monster everyone expected." Then she walked away. Above them, the warning beacon around Sol updated for the first time in centuries, broadcasting into the dark between stars. "Deathworld, Earth, home of humanity. Come in peace." And for the first time, the galaxy understood that the most dangerous thing about Earth was never the storms, the beasts, or the lethal gravity. It was that humans had survived all of it, and still chose to leave the door open.